can't go to court and say, I'm such a terrible wife, I want a divorce.
You can't?
You can't do that. It has to be blame on the other person. So you can't go to court and say, I'm tired of this marriage, I want out.
Really?
You can't do that.
What if we are tired? I want out.
You can even be tired and you both agree, we want out. But that petition was not allowed. Living is hard and staying is hard. You just have to choose your hard. And if you choose to live out here, there is stigma. So when you go out there, prepare yourself for that stigma. And the best way to prepare yourself is remember that this life is yours. So do not make these decisions based on what will people say. That conscious uncoupling is not the same thing as a breakup. We are going to look at the children. What else do we have together? Properties. What else do we have together? Anything. How do we continue to uphold these other pillars that we created while dissolving the marital status, while uncoupling? Because that is the only issue. Yeah, it's a very small aspect of everything else that we have. Yeah.
My heart is in pain. Yeah. How do I become conscious while still in pain?
It's not just you.
Yeah.
Actually, it is most of us. Because as I mentioned, this is a fight or flight response.
Yes.
And when you're in that state, you're not thinking straight. So what I say is time and awareness. And the first thing I would even say is awareness. By just watching this show, now you know there's something called conscious uncoupling.
As we uncoupling, what is happening to the children, or what conversations should we start also having with the children?
The most important thing is for the children to see that we are not losing any of our parents. Yeah, and when you're united, you can decide actually, the two of you, what you're going to tell the children, as long as you use age appropriate language, which is language that the child can understand. You're not going to tell your child that, you know, there was infidelity and all that. No, you find a way to explain to them in a language that they can still maintain the respect they have for the other parent.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of LNS. My name is Lynn Ngugi, and as always, we get to meet for another beautiful conversation where we get to do the three things we are doing this year. You guys, you know them already. We are learning and learning and relearning. And I know you've seen my guest somewhere, and I love how she speaks. And you know, most of the times when I even run into my friends who have gotten out of their marriages, one of the statements someone will always say is, Lynn, I did not get into it to get out of it. And we know divorces can be messy. We know child custody can be messy. But today, not only will she help us on navigating that process smoothly, but maybe when she can, she will also share some of the things that have worked for her. And we get to pick what we can learn and relearn. I'm about to let her introduce herself and walk us through this conversation. She is the expert here. But before I do that, you know, a girl has to appreciate a couple of people on this platform. Allow me to say thank you to my team for putting this work together. I appreciate you. You guys who have subscribed, you are the real MVPs. Thank you for getting us to over 1.25 million subscribers. That is not something I take for granted. I appreciate you. And of course, our partners of today's conversation, Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. So remember, if you are looking into invest in a piece of land, na ninawaombea by the way, try our people at Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. They have incredible pieces of land across the country. They do have that in Matu. They have the Baraka Gardens, which are incredible. I was there. And also Makutano, I know it's almost sold out. Thank you to you guys. So I appreciate you for checking out Success Gardens. But if Makutano is not your thing, you can pass by Masinga and check out what they have around Joy Gardens, which is incredible. But if that is not your thing, you want the coastal breeze, why don't you try Malindi? We were there with Muga. We enjoyed it. It was amazing. They have the precious gardens in Malindi. Check them out and ask them for a discount. Sawa. Tell them you saw them here and you want kidogo discount. And also to say thank you also to the incredible guests who get to trust us with their stories, including my guest today. So without further ado, please allow me to let her introduce herself so that she can be able to walk us through today's conversation. conversation. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Looking like sunshine, all things beautiful. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate you so much, even for honoring the request to come. I always say, I don't take our guests for granted. Every time we get to sit with someone on that side, we live fulfilled and we learn and we unlearn and we relearn. So that is not something I take for granted.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know we're about to get into a very interesting conversation. And I know some people have caught up with you on different social media platforms. But for anyone that is checking you for the very first time, maybe looking at that camera, could you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
My name is Christine Modhoni. And every time I introduce myself, I have to mention that I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I have two wonderful, amazing boys. And they're the inspiration behind everything good that I do and everything good that I am. And on a professional level, I help people navigate the legal and psychosocial aspects of uncoupling in peaceful ways. And I do this in under 3 umbrellas. Legally, I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I practice family law under the name of Modhoni,
Yes.
Minor and Company Advocates. And under coaching, I am a certified divorce coach. And so I offer that psychosocial support under that umbrella. And lastly, I am an author. I love writing.
Yes.
And I have published 2 books. One is Disclosing Secrets, and the other one is Conscious Uncoupling, and that is my signature topic.
Yeah.
That is the topic that I really love discussing about, because I feel like now we are at a point where we are ready to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that it has been received very well in Africa, because Africans are the ones who have that question of, is it really possible to consciously uncouple?
Good.
Yes.
And I know I said you look amazing, man. You're such a breath of fresh air, even with some of the conversations that you are normalizing for us. You know, I first heard about conscious uncoupling from you, and I was like, okay, I think nikichapana na mtu wangu, I might wanna be like, hey, can we conscious uncouple? Can we, you know, like I feel like you have taken what people would be so bitter about. You are teaching people how to be conscious about it, even without harming or causing a lot of bitterness to each other and the children that come along. But let me ask you, where did it come from, your need to want to have these conversations with people? What gap are you trying to fill, or what problem are you solving?
Okay, one thing that I have come to realize is that nobody is immune to divorce. And when we talk about divorce, we are talking about people who have been legally married. They're the ones who go through that legal process of divorce. However, we have people who are not legally married, but their intention is to be man and wife. And so they live together as man and wife. They will not go through the divorce process, but they will uncouple. And uncoupling simply means dissolving the couple status. And what I noticed is that in my practice, because now I specialize in family law, every single person who comes to me has a sad story, a sob story, and it's always acrimonious. People don't leave marriages because they're so happy. People don't leave their unions because they're going so well. It's always something has happened, and I am putting the blame on this other person. And that is why I want to leave this marriage. And then our legal system doesn't even make it any better, because it is fault-based. And there is a recent judgment that came up. I think it was this month. Last month. Now we're in May. And there was a petition that was filed in court to try and allow for divorce by consent. Meaning, you don't have to go through all this acrimony. You don't have to look for fault in the other person. You don't have to place blame on the other person, because, you know, you can't go to court and say, I'm such a terrible wife, I want a divorce.
You can't?
You can't do that. It has to be blame on the other person. So you can't go to court and say, I'm tired of this marriage, I want out.
Really?
You can't do that.
What if we are tired? I want out.
You can even be tired and you both agree, we want out. But that petition was not allowed. That petition would have allowed you to go to court and say, my spouse and I have seen the writing on the wall. We can smell the coffee. This thing is not going anywhere. And instead of being in it and dying slowly in it, we have decided, mutually agreed to separate and go our separate ways. But that petition was not allowed. However, I understand the judicial system. I understand that we are a very religious nation. And so marriage is held as sacred. It's a very sacred institution. So perhaps allowing that petition would have appeared as if we are taking marriage lightly, and it being the basis, the foundation of society. It would have appeared like we are giving divorces in an arbitrary manner. So it had to be upheld. However, the only problem I have with that is that even those who have mutually agreed and they have seen it's not working are being pitted against each other. You don't want to place blame or fault on your partner, but you have to do it to satisfy the court that this marriage has irretrievably broken down and it cannot be salvaged. That is the only way that the court will be able to determine whether that marriage should be dissolved or not. But I know there are people who see beyond this divorce process. You see beyond this hard, difficult, acrimonious season, because it's only a season.
Yes.
And trust me, 5-10 years down the line, you won't even remember, how bad it was. You will grieve, yes. It will be a difficult season, yes, but you will heal. But when you look back at the permanent records that you have filed in court, you may not really be proud of yourself. Your children also may be able to access those records, and it may, it's hurtful. The things that people do to get out of marriages are hurtful. And that's just the legal bit of it. The social bit of it is even worse. It's even worse because people are hurt.
Yeah.
And hurt people hurt people. And sometimes the hurt, you can never recover from it. In as much as now we are trying to foster healing so that you can go forth and parent your children even beyond this season. Because most people who are uncoupling or who are going through divorce have children. And when you divorce your spouse, you're not divorcing your children. You're still going to be a parent to those children. And you're still going to need to co-parent with this other parent. How do you go about it when the divorce was so acrimonious, when terrible things were said to each other,
Lies,
when enemy camps were created? When you got married, you brought together the in-laws. You became one big family. But when now it's time for divorce, people will always side with their people. I know perhaps my brother is not a really good husband to his wife, but my allegiance is to my brother. So you see, now I'm an enemy to the in-laws on the other side. But these children still remember me as an auntie. Our mother is still their grandma. Our father is their grandfather. We have our children as well. They're still their cousins. We are ruining these relationships because this husband and this wife had to go through an acrimonious uncoupling process. So the solution to this would be, how about we come into this process with awareness? And awareness simply means let's be intentional and deliberate about how we go through this process, because hapo mbele there is life. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what I did, whether the uncoupling was mutual or I'm coming out of this thing because it's not good for me. I don't know about you, but it's not good for me. Whatever the situation, whatever the circumstance, one person is not happy in that union. So let's say we put this aside and go into the process very intentionally. So intentionality means we are going to look at the children. What else do we have together? Properties. What else do we have together? Anything. How do we continue to uphold these other pillars that we created while dissolving the marital status, while uncoupling? Because that is the only issue. Yeah, it's a very small aspect of everything else that we have. But during that process, we don't see that. During that uncoupling process, you don't see that. Why? Because you're unconscious. You're doing it unconsciously. And that's why I like to make it very clear that conscious uncoupling is not the same thing as a breakup. Because a breakup has got very negative connotations. It's like something that just happened to me. I never saw it coming,
Yes.
And when you find yourself in such a situation, it's a battlefield. And you get defensive. And when you get defensive, what you do? Your guard goes up.
Yes.
When your guard goes up, you're on fight or flight.
Yes.
you're not ready to hear what the other person is saying.
Absolutely.
All the blame is on the other person. It doesn't matter whether you're the one who cheated. You will blame this person for leaving you because they ought to have forgiven you. You know, they have ruined our family. You don't love the children. You should have forgiven me. This is what the Bible says, you know. So every person who is in this situation always feels as if the other person is to blame. But when you have awareness and you're conscious about it, then you can see, even if this person did 1, 2, 3 to me, there's this small percentage. I take the blame. Yeah, I take this. I'm going to be accountable for myself. Yeah. And it has happened. It has happened. Let's sit down. Let's see what next. Then we can say we are consciously uncoupling. But if we now get into these fights, we ghost each other, we take the children, we deny custody, we deny child support, we tarnish each other's names, we disenfranchise each other. Now that's a breakup, and it's very acrimonious, traumatizing even to the children and everyone else involved. So you may wonder, is it really possible to consciously uncouple?
Yes, kwa sababu, before you answer us, there's this kagap. You see this distance between me and you, machungu iko, bitterness is there. By the way, I want to leave and you've hurt me and you've hurt me bad and my heart is in pain. Ushasikia ile uchungu ya roho? Wacha ile ya kugongwa ya roho, like my heart is in pain. How do I become conscious while still in pain? Because me, when I'm in pain, my heart is crashing, I'm crying, I'm not eating, I cannot even function, like umenibo. So how can I even say, it's good, tumemalizana, we are done? How can you be conscious in that state you are in? I mean, state of bitterness, I don't care. How can you really be conscious, Christine?
It's not just you, actually. It is most of us. It is most of us. Because as I mentioned, this is a fight or flight response. And when you're in that state, you're not thinking straight. Your impulse is either to flee or to fight or even to freeze. Your mind is suspended. And so what happens is you act out of your subconscious programming. And these are programs that, you know, you acquire in your early childhood, how you are brought up. There are some children who are neglected. Perhaps it was subtle neglect. And so you develop some things like avoidant attachment styles. You develop fearful attachment styles. You become very defensive. So anytime you find yourself in that situation, subconsciously, the subconscious automatic reaction that you acquired in childhood, that's what you're going to do. So you will feel neglected again. You'll feel rejected. You will cry. You will not eat. You will not sleep. You will not all that. So what I say is time and awareness. And the first thing I would even say is awareness. By just watching this show, now you know there's something called conscious uncoupling. Yes. Meaning I'm not going to fall to my default unconscious defense mechanisms and, you know, do what I would do without thinking. I'm now going to think, oh, there is a better way. Or there is another way of doing this. Yes, I am in pain. I don't know where to start, but I watched this show, so I have that awareness.
Good.
And in that show, we also talked about Christine being a divorce coach. So there's somebody called a divorce coach. A coach is just someone who walks with you through a particular journey, helping you go through the challenges that you're going through. So in as much as the title is divorce coach, that is just what's written on the certification. But really, I'm coaching you whether you are legally married or not, walking you through that uncoupling process. So if you don't know what to do with all this crying, not being able to eat, not being able to sleep, those are your challenges. How do I even leave this place? Seek the support. And that is the support that I give, the psychosocial support.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Great. Now take us there. How can you conscious uncouple?
Yes.
The uncouple.
Yes. So consciously means you're just doing it with intention and you're deliberate and you're not letting your subconscious fight or flight behaviors take place. Uncoupling is just dissolving the couple status, whether you are legally married or not. So now you're doing all this with awareness, with intent. The peace is just a byproduct of the intentionality. Because if you're not fighting, or if you're fighting a wall and a wall is not fighting you back, chances are that any normal person will stop fighting the wall.
Yes.
But then again, I don't want to say they are abnormal people, But not everybody is on the same level of awareness. If I fight the wall and the wall is not fighting me, I will stop. But there are others who perhaps are sociopaths or psychopaths or narcissists, and their intention is to keep fighting you. And so there's no way you can have these intentional and deliberate conversations with them. In any case, they will not hear you. They're not ready to hear you. They have that, I don't know whether to call it a mental challenge.
Yes.
It is just part of who they are. You can't sit down and have this conversation. So what I say is that, yes, conscious uncoupling is still a viable option because there is an ideal situation and there's a second to ideal situation. Of course, the ideal situation would be when you're on the same level of awareness with your person.
Yes.
And you can sit down and talk about it and say, for example, you cheated repeatedly. I cannot continue to forgive you because what it's doing to me is taking me down a path of mental destruction. I'm not okay. I cannot appear, I cannot show up as a good parent. I can't be a good parent to our children because of my mental state, because of what you did.
Yes.
I will forgive you, yes, but we cannot continue being together. So what are the next steps? We have done counseling, we have done all that. It's not working. So we are going to separate. I am going to file for a divorce, but I still want to be present for the children. And that property of ours, we will discuss about it. And our in-laws and our family, we will discuss about it.
Oh, kuna watu kao.
Yes. They are there. Few in Africa.
Yes.
Very many abroad.
Outside.
Yes. But I think now we are ready for this conversation. The reception that it is getting.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I love it so much.
Yes.
And in as much as it takes a lot of unlearning and relearning, that is why we are having this conversation, so that if there's somebody out there who feels I have reached this point and there is a new, better way of uncoupling, let me do this. However, there's a second to ideal scenario. The second to ideal scenario is whereby you cannot sit down and talk with your partner. Perhaps they fall under that category we talked about, the narcissists. Even abusers, physical violence is in the picture.
Yes.
You can't even bring the topic up. You will get abused. In that case, we say now, you're going to consciously uncouple in a situation that is not ideal. What this means is we are not on the same page, but I am on the same page, on my page. I am on this page of uncoupling consciously, meaning on my part, whatever I can control, I will control. Whatever I can think about in advance, I will think about it and plan about it. And I normally hear people saying they are healing in the crime scene. That is okay. It is part of the preparation because you know you're not on the same page with this person. You can't bring up the topic. You can't tell them I'm leaving you. That's going to be dangerous. Yeah. So you're sitting there planning and preparing yourself because even this exit requires you to prepare yourself mentally, physically, financially. It takes time. But then again, that healing on the crime scene, I think it's also a double-edged sword because it also depends on what issues you have in that marriage. If your life is in danger, I don't recommend it. I do not recommend healing in the crime scene because you cannot be in an environment that is making you sick and you're expecting to heal.
You can't.
You can't. You're in a battlefield, bullets are flying everywhere. You're catching bullets. Before you heal the wounds of yesterday, today you've gotten others. You know, yes, you're thinking about the exit, but you're getting more damage physically, mentally, financially, all around. So you're taking one step forward and two steps back. You're not healing. What you're doing is you're adopting. You're adopting, you're learning to survive in a battlefield again, which is not good because your life is in danger. So when it comes to someone whose life is in danger, I do not recommend. When you're finding yourself in that situation where the situation is not ideal for conscious uncoupling because the other person is not on the same page as you and you're in danger, I say just leave.
Yes.
We will walk that journey once you're safe. And if your children are not safe also, don't leave them behind. Take them with you. However, if your children are safe and they're okay, and you're not prepared financially or even in any other way, leave them behind. That's another thing that I want us to start normalizing this, because even the law has changed. Again, there was another recent judgment that said it's not automatic that custody of children goes to the mother, because that's how it used to be before. Minors would go with the mother, especially children of tender years. But nowadays, circumstances are looked at on an individual basis. So you can find a man who is actually intentional and present to parent his children, and he has the capacity. But the woman doesn't have the capacity. She doesn't have the money. She doesn't have support from her family or her friends. She can't run away for her life and take her 5 children with her. Who is going to house her? But when you come to realize that the fact that this man is not a good husband to me does not necessarily mean he's also a bad father to the children, I'm sure that you can be able to leave the children behind. Go for your safety, flee for your safety, sort yourself, then come back and discuss how you can parent these children together. So that's another conversation for another day. Anyway, so now in this situation where it's second to ideal, you do it by yourself. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
And then if this person fights you, there are mechanisms which you can use to make the situation, to mitigate that, that whole war. Yeah. In how you draft your documents in court. Let them be cordial, or rather, let me not say cordial, let them be diplomatic. Let them be civil. Don't drag somebody's name through the mud. At the end of the day, if you're asking for the marriage to be dissolved, and this other person is asking for the same thing, the court will not force you to be together. The only problem is, before you get to that judgment, what else has happened? Hapa mbele. How are you going to set the ground for healing when you fought in the marriage, you fought on your way out, and even when you're out there, you're still fighting about co-parenting and property, everything. It's so difficult. So now if you do it in the best way you can, then you can be able to heal and move on. You can be able to co-parent, and you can be able to pursue what it is that you need to pursue, that you had together with this person. Remember, it was your choice. You're the one who chose this man. There's something good you saw in them. You're the one who chose this woman. There's something good you saw in them. Yeah? And that thing has not just automatically disappeared. It's just that it has been covered by this horrible, terrible season that you're going through. Yes.
I love it. I love that you've said that, especially with, be diplomatic even in the court documents, because I've had some people even say, what this person wrote, they lied in court. They said I was abusing the children. They said I was beating them up. I never did this. So these are some of the things that we really have to stay away from.
Yeah. Yes. Especially because those are permanent records. When now you've gone through all of this and you've healed, and there's something about the human mind to protect itself and for you to feel safe as you go through this life. The mind will usually forget some of those horrible things with time. And then you'll start asking yourself, why did I even behave the way I behaved? What was so hard about just, extending kindness and grace? It is because of the defense mechanism and the coping mechanisms that I operated out of when I was hurting, when I was unconscious. Yeah. So now when you bring that element of consciousness, you'll even think when you're drafting the documents. And this is another thing. It's part of preparing yourself to go through this process consciously, is when you're choosing the lawyer who you're going to use. If now you have to go to court, is it somebody who you can tell, I want to do this, I want to get out of this marriage, just so that I can get out of this marriage. Let us draft the documents in a way that we will satisfy the court. But I don't want us to, I'm not going to use you as a weapon against my soon-to-be ex. I don't want to fight this person. If this is a lawyer who you can tell this, and they can understand what you're saying, that's a very big plus for you. Because you see, when this lawyer does what they're doing, they're going to move on and go to the next file.
To the next client.
Yeah, and to the next and to the next. But for you, this is what you accused. Even if it's not you who drafted, this is you who accused your person. How will you feel about that? After you've already forgotten all those issues, you've healed, now you're being able to co-parent very well. How will you feel about that?
Yeah.
If you can get a lawyer who can do that for you, the better.
What role do lawyers play when, like, for example, since you're an advocate, if I come to you, what role should you play? Because you see, for me now, I'm coming, I'm confused. I might not be at my climax when it comes to being conscious. Do lawyers guide their client? Do lawyers tell you, Lynn, I get you're mad, but can this document not have this easy margina?
Well,
Ama, it depends.
It depends. And that's a very good question. So like I had mentioned before, our system is fault-based. And what that means is that you have to show fault in the other person. So to most lawyers, when you go to them, they're using the law because they have a duty to the court first.
Yes.
Yeah? And they need to present these documents as required. So in as much as you will come and tell me, I want a divorce, etc., etc., I have to find the grounds. Because when I'm drafting these documents, what am I telling the court? What are the grounds? Why am I filing this petition? There has to be grounds. And the Marriage Act is what I'm going to be relying on. The Marriage Act says that you can only divorce in these circumstances. And then it goes ahead to list infidelity, talks of abuse, talks of desertion, talks of exceptional depravity. And I'm looking at that list and saying, Lynn has come and told me that the husband does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does it fall in this category? And then I'm going to draft. Then also remember, even us lawyers are just human beings. Sometimes we are also going through the same thing that you're coming to tell me about. And I'm not going to be objective. I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing because I'm following what the Marriage Act says. And so the language that I use there is not going to be very diplomatic. It's not going to be very civil because that is the idea I have in my mind of a lawyer. A good lawyer, I have to use that strong language. I have to really show this man or this woman is horrible. They have really abused. They have really abused my client, and I need to show my client I'm doing good work for you, you know. And so with that as a background, you file documents that put the other person on defense mode immediately. Fine, that is not wrong, but again, look at the personality of the person you're dealing with. Can they listen? Like I mentioned, can they listen to what you're telling them? Because it's your case. At the end of the day, you're instructing them, meaning I'm giving you instructions. Yes, this is the problem I have, but I'm telling you, I want this. This is the outcome. Go a step further and tell them, I want it in this manner. Now you're telling them how to go about it. Good. Are they listening to you? Number 3, remember also, this is a highly emotive case. Exactly. Family law is highly emotive. There's a lot of emotions involved. And so, and by the way, another thing I should say at this point is the way it is emotionally charged, you realize you're dealing with the inner child of these people who are coming to you as a lawyer. So if you're able to understand all these emotions that this person is going through, then you can be able to explain to them. Now, this is the psychosocial support. This is normal, what you're feeling. However, this divorce process is just a process that will take 3, 6, 12 months. After that, there is life after that. And I recommend we put this document in this language. Yeah, I know you want to be heard, but in court, there is no emotional justice. The court does not care about your emotions. So there is no emotional justice. There's no need of you pouring out all those emotions in the petition, in your statements, and serving the other person. Already when you serve the other person, just expect they're going to either want to set the record straight or turn the tables because they have
my
to.
side of the story.
Yes, I also want to be heard. The
Yes.
other person also want to be heard. And they are going to match your energy. Yeah. So when they put in their response and their cross petition and you see it, you're triggered again. And you remember, in fact, even there's something else I never said. The first time round, you go back to the lawyer again. Now you want to answer to their reply to petition. And so that lawyer has now to put this again in writing and it becomes a battle. You've not even gone to court yet. but already the process is so difficult. And one thing that I want to mention is that when someone is going through this uncoupling process, they're very delicate. They're very fragile. Relationships touch on something in us that we don't show the world. You know, you can be this person with this big title, yes, you know, this big CEO, and you're all this, you're this boss. But when it comes to love, relationships, heartbreak,
you become like a caneg, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
You revert back to that inner child who just needed to be loved, you know, to be validated, to belong, you know. And so whoever is handling you needs to handle you with care, needs to handle you with so much care, because already everything else in your life has been affected. Your job, you cannot think straight at work. Your children, you cannot show up as a good parent for them when you're going through divorce. You have so much already. And remember also, there's money involved here. There's property. You're thinking, when I live here, I'm going to lose half my property. Or when I live here, I'm not going to be able to take care of myself. You have so much. So when you're choosing who is going to handle you, pick somebody who will ask you these questions. Number one, have you tried to reconcile? Because sometimes people just need to talk and they haven't talked. Yeah. Some things you can resolve. Yeah. It's not all about, okay, the client says, so I need to do. Sometimes you can gauge, you know, just listen to the person. Sometimes they just need to get things out. Do you realize that there are very many people who don't know about therapy? Or they know, but they're like, I'm a man, I don't do therapy. So the only time they get to talk about their marital issues is when they go to see the lawyer. And so if it's a man who's come now to me and he's telling me all these things, I have in mind that maybe this is the first time that he's actually getting it out of his chest. So part of handling with kindness and care and being delicate is asking, these are the options you have. Have you maybe tried them? Have you seen a marriage counselor? Have you seen a therapist? I usually don't ask, have you seen your best man or best maid or your church elder?
Why?
Or your parents?
Why?
Because
they're not equipped professionally.
That's the thing. It's always better to seek professional help. Yeah? Because when you go to a professional, this professional is equipped.
Yes.
They have the tools which they can transfer to you, and they can have the ability to be objective.
And they are neutral.
Yeah. They are trained for this. Yeah. Even if they are also going through their own issues, now they put their issues aside and they are able to put on their professional hat.
Yes.
All the training that they got, they are able to apply it. And when you come out of there, you will come out with tools to be able to apply. But if you go to your mom, let's say, Lynn, you're not able to take care of yourself. Just an example.
No, go on, use me. I'm here.
Yeah?
Yes.
So you're not able to take care of yourself. You're not able to take care of your children. It means after you divorce, where are you going?
Where to?
Exactly. So you're becoming a burden to your mom. So she doesn't want you to come back home. She's like, in as much as I want the best for my daughter, I want her to remain married, there's also this thing for myself. I don't want this extra responsibility. Either because I'm not able to handle my daughter and my grandchildren. Yeah. So I think it's better she stays. So there's a way, even as you come to me, I will try to talk to you in a way that I want you to go back.
Rude.
Yes. I may not tell you go back and persevere, you know, but I will tell you, you know, these things happen. Even me, I went through it. But you see, we made it with your dad, and these children need their dad. You know, I'll just find a way. People can relate.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you see, she's your mom and she loves you and she wants the best for you. But there's also that selfish, self-serving thing she needs. Her advice will not be for solving your solution.
Of course.
It will be for getting you back into your marriage and keeping you there. Same thing with our, you know, religious leaders. They will never come and tell you, leave your marriage, divorce is, you know, God hates divorce. What they will tell you is that you need to forgive 70 times, 70 times, come, let's talk. They'll read for you scripture, which is a good thing because it also uplifts you. Spiritual support gives you hope.
Yeah.
But then there's a point you reach where now prayers cannot help you. Reading scripture cannot help you. Especially when it is one-sided. You can be very deep in faith, but the person you're dealing with has no respect for God. They don't really care. So are you going to be praying and praying and praying for somebody who is not changing, dying inside or even dying physically for the rest of your life? So look at who you're going to seek this support from. Yeah, even your friends. Sometimes your friends will misguide you, not because they don't want the best for you, but because they don't know any better. Yeah, perhaps they've gone through acrimonious separations.
Or they are jealous of your relationship.
Or they're jealous.
Yes.
They're jealous. They want you, come, we suffer together, Your friends may be friends to you, but to them, you don't know what's in their heart.
True.
Yeah. But if you go to a professional, at least there, the kind of support you will get, there is 90% that it will be objective and that it will be from somebody who knows how to give the support to someone who's going through this. Yes.
I love that. But now we are uncoupling, because you said, there are two ways. You can decide, let's do this. Let's sit and couple together. I'm in it, you're in it. Or you'll find yourself, you're dealing with it alone. But there's a common denominator here. Let's assume we have children. As we are uncoupling, what is happening to the children, or what conversations should we start also having with the children? Because we also need to prepare them. We are not just preparing me and you. They are seeing what is happening. They might sense soon or later we will part ways. So now, what conversation are we having with children, or have we skipped something before we get to the children? So feel free maybe to address what we might have skipped before now we get to how do we deal also with the children involved, if they are children in a marriage.
All right, if it comes to talking, I can talk a lot on this topic. So let's go to the children.
Okay.
If we remember something else, we will go back. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So when you're in agreement with your person, then you can have this conversation together with the children and present a united front. Because the most important thing is for the children to see that we are not losing any of our parents. Yeah. And when you're united, you can decide actually, the two of you, what you're going to tell the children, as long as you use age appropriate language, which is language that the child can understand. You're not going to tell your child that, there was infidelity and all that. No, you find a way to explain to them in a language that they can still maintain the respect they have for the other parent. Yeah. Because that parent will be their parent forever. Then let them feel safe, because that is all children want to feel. They want to feel safe. That anytime I need dad, even if he's not living in the same house with us, I can get him. Anytime I need mom, I can get her. We are not being abandoned. Just that the dynamics are changing. Mom and dad still love each other, but in a different way, Let them not know that you hate each other or you're fighting or things like that. That is when you're mutually agreeing. When you're not on the same page with your person and you're doing this, kivyako, it helps to think about your unique circumstances. Because again, we are all in different relationships. We relate differently with our people. We also relate differently with our children. And even if you have 3 children, you relate differently with all 3 of them. So when you look at your unique circumstances, then you can know how to go about it. Number 1, if your life is in danger, first just flee. First thing, get yourself to safety. If your life is not in danger and you're still in the marriage, just preparing yourself psychologically, financially, and all around, then you can start introducing the topic, even as you're there. Pole pole too, depending on the age of the children. For instance, if you have preteens or teenagers, those ones can be able to understand. And they have already observed. By the way, the children see these things, We imagine we are trying to shield them and protect them. I'm staying for the children. But really, when you're staying for children and they're seeing violence, you're actually doing them a disservice more than you're doing them a service. They're better off having 2 parents who are well and separate than together and there's always chaos, acrimony, violence. So if these children are at that age where they can see and they can observe, introduce the topic yourself. The other person is not in the picture. And you don't have to do it in a, like sit down, we talk. That one really, it's scary. It can scare a child, even an adult. You just find ways to introduce this. Like one day you come, to the living room and you have a black eye and your child asks you what happened. This time round, be conscious, be aware, be intentional, be deliberate. Don't lie to them the way you've been lying to them. That I fell down, I was hit by the windowsill, I was what? If the environment is safe, you can tell them exactly what happened because they already know. You'd be surprised that children ask questions just to confirm
what they already know.
Yes. And they appreciate it when you tell them the truth. When you lie, they know you've lied. Because you want to tell me, every day you fall down, you hit yourself on this eye, it's always this eye that has a black eye. And it happens only when, dad has gone out drinking. They know. So you introduce it. And also let it appear like you're involving them in whatever decision you want to make. Because children will tell you, if, for example, this is just an example, I'm not saying that men are always the ones on the wrong, but now your children ask you, why do you stay with dad and he beats you up, Don't you care about your well-being? Now, instead of just jumping and reacting and saying, don't talk about your dad like that, he's still... Sometimes you shouldn't cover some of these things because when you're covering, what you're doing is you're teaching your children it's okay to take such kind of treatment. And that's the cycle they are going to repeat.
Yes.
Yeah? So listen to them and they will tell you what they think you should do. I think you should leave him. Yeah? We want you alive, mom. And now you can bring the topic. Okay, so now if I go, what's going to happen to you? And they will tell you, it's fine, mom, we will stay here, we'll be fine.
Start making me like I just feel like you just need to have that genuine conversation with them because all they want to tell you is, mom, we'll be okay.
Yes.
You be safe, us will be okay.
Exactly. And if you haven't had it from them, you yourself will be judging yourself and blaming yourself and telling yourself, if I leave these children, I'm a bad mom. Or if I leave them, they'll be helpless or they'll never forgive me. But you see, when you have this open conversation with them, you're giving them the platform to tell you, we will be fine.
So we undermine how intelligent our children are in this process. We undermine that.
Yeah, we undermine it. And when it comes from the children, they're not coming from a point of dad is bad. They don't hate him. It's just that they want you to be safe from him. And so you can also now continue to encourage that respect that they have for their spouse, having told them that we are not okay together and I'm going to remove myself from this dynamic and I'm leaving you here not because of 1, 2, 3, but because of 1, 2, 3, which you understand. Those are children now, preteens, teens, young adults. Now, for the smaller ones, it can be a bit difficult because they may not have the capacity to understand some of these things. But all in all, you can still find the language to explain to them. They can see you're not happy. They can see, they can hear sometimes the arguments. And what the younger children do is that they blame themselves. They wonder, my parents are fighting because I didn't finish my dinner. Small things like that. The thing that the child does is just self-blame.
Yes.
So now, when you get that opportunity to talk to this child, you'll not be telling them the nitty-gritty details. You'll just be telling them that mommy is not okay and mommy needs to go somewhere so that she can be okay, so that she can recover. But I'm not leaving you forever. Yeah? And then, if you have a child who can handle that, still, let's say a 9-year-old, and you have another 9-year-old who cannot handle that, because again, children are different. You will see how to talk to them. You know your children better. Talk to them.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, during divorce, how do you deal with children that choose sides? Because their children will be like, no, me, I don't want to go with mommy. I want to remain with daddy. How do you deal with that? And is it something people experience? Do you encounter that?
Yes, I do encounter. And there are various reasons why a child would say something like that. Sometimes their reasons are genuine. For instance, when the abuse is there, the collateral damage. There are some abusers who, when they abuse their spouse and their children. That time the children become their children. They are not even our children. So in such a situation, such a child will say they want to go with the safe parent. They don't want to remain with their abuser. So in such a situation, if the safe parent has the capacity to take them, take them. If the safe parent realizes that me leaving these children here is not safe for them, take them even if you don't have the capacity. You will go and figure it out once you're in a safe place. Yeah? But then, there are children who just choose it because they have this, you have a Father Christmas parent. The Father Christmas parent is the parent who, the good cop.
Yes.
Perhaps this is the parent who works away, and they come once in a while. They come bearing gifts. They, do good things with the children. And you who stays with them, most of the time you're the disciplinarian. You're the one who brings structure. You appear like you are the no fun parent. So the children will want to stay with the other one, the fun parent. But you as the adult, you need to take charge in this situation. Because you cannot leave such a decision to a child. They're still a child.
True.
And maybe even the other parent is fighting you, not because they are able to parent these children. Remember, they're traveling a lot. They're working out there. They don't have the ability to parent these children, but they're fighting you because you're not consciously uncoupling. You're breaking up very acrimoniously. So this is an affront to you. This is a situation where the children are being used as a weapon against you. So they will also side with the children and tell the children, yes, come stay with me. Refuse to go with mom. She punishes you when you have too much screen time.
She's a bad person.
Yeah, I'll let you do whatever you want. You see, in such a situation, you have to really listen to your client, get their unique circumstances, and then give it time, just a little time. Because when you go to fight somebody whose intent is to frustrate you, and they have the power and the muscle, you're making things worse for yourself. Yeah? Because somebody who is looking out for the best interest of the children will be able to say, fine, I'm not able to take care of these children. They're better off with you.
Yes.
You don't have the finances. I will support you in terms of child support. Let me go out there and work. So our relationship is over, and I can be able to differentiate my relationship with you and my relationship with the children. I'm not going to use the children to fight you. I will allow you. But now, in this situation where they're fighting you, I have to really be keen and careful and listen. Get the lady to a safe place, or the man, whoever it is. When you're safe and things have calmed down, the intensity of the acrimony reduces with time, especially when you don't fight back. Then we can revisit when things have calmed down, and you can get the children, because it's just a matter of a month, 2 months, 3 months, even a year is not going to, you can wait for the best interest of the children. And why I propose or encourage waiting is because if you have somebody who is fighting you, what they're looking for is your buttons. They know your buttons. So they're going to press those buttons to get a certain reaction from you. They know they will hurt you if they use the children card. And so now you're leaving me. What is my revenge? The children card. I'll press that button. And when you react the way they want you to react, then they have achieved what they wanted to achieve. They have hurt you. But if you don't react, because you're aware, you're intentional, you're deliberate, you know what they're doing,
You're
you give it you give it a moment, they press that button, they don't get that gratification that they wanted. They press it again, no gratification. They're like, I'm even tired of taking care of these children, let them go back to their mom. You see what happened there?
Yes.
You got what you wanted without having to fight.
Beautiful.
Just by controlling yourself, what is within your control. Your reactions, your responses, those are within your control. So you can say, I'm consciously uncoupling. This person is not on the same page as I can't control that. We cannot mutually agree, but I can think ahead.
Beautiful. Guys, you see how beautiful being conscious is. You see the many things it will save you from if you just calm down, you're conscious, and you decide if it's not within my control, I won't go for it. I won't
Yes.
fight it.
Yes.
Because sometimes there's also joy in waiting. Because sometimes even when I've seen maybe when people are going through divorce, you want to see who is getting there faster.
Yes.
That happens also. And it's
Yes.
not a competition.
Yeah, it's never a competition because there are no winners in divorce, because both of you got into this marriage expecting a forever life together. You had these plans that we are going to grow old together. You had these visions of the life that you're going to create. You wanted to be together when your grandchildren come to visit you. They've come to see grandma and grandpa together. That thing it's a whole life you've created in your mind. So for you to get to the point of divorce, even if you're the aggrieved or you're the aggressor, or what do you call it? The opposite.
Yes.
There's still a sense of loss for you. You're losing that idea that you had created in your mind. And it is painful. And you're going to grieve. And this grief is not linear. It doesn't start, with denial and then, anger and then all the way to acceptance. Sometimes it goes round in circles. You can find yourself today, you're angry. You think you're over the anger, you're gone into sadness. Tomorrow you're back. Something triggers you and you're back, yeah? So it is a loss to everybody. And if you can go about it in a way that make it easier for yourself, perhaps the grace that you're extending to the other person will also be infectious. Yeah, and it will come back to you and your children and everyone else. Yeah.
But I also saw somewhere, maybe feel free to share your thoughts on the same. We are over romanticizing divorce. You know the way people say that you glow up after divorce.
Yeah.
Like the glow is something else,
Yes.
Like after divorce, you glow up, things are falling back together, you're beautiful, you're dressing up, bikinis, kila kitu. What's the truth in that and what's the lie in that? And do you think sometimes after divorce we are quick to show the other partner, see, I'm moving on, I'm even more beautiful, I'm even doing more better than when we were together? Is it a coping mechanism? Feel free.
Yeah, you're right. It's a coping mechanism, and sometimes it is very fake. It is a coping mechanism sometimes, especially if it is immediately after the divorce. Because it's like you're competing to show this person, I am okay, I've moved on, you are the problem. Your mind is still in that place of, I was a victim and he was the villain. And now that I'm free of that villain, I can thrive and I can glow. You're denying the pain that you're feeling. You're suppressing. Grief is something you have to go through. And it is ugly and it is painful. And it is not healed by time. Again, that's another thing. Again, taking so long doesn't mean now you're healed. And then again, moving really fast doesn't mean you're healed. You actually need to put in the work. And putting in the work does not mean replacing the person as fast as possible. Because if you're aware that you had a role to play in whatever situation you found yourself in, then you will look back and learn something from it. What will you learn? You will learn, for example, I picked this man. He was my choice. Why did I pick this man? Because I'm used to that push and pull, the chaos of jealousy. I grew up in a volatile home environment. And so these are the things, the wounds, the inner wounds that I need to heal so that I don't end up picking another person who is just like him and repeating the cycle.
Yes.
Because if I move on without addressing my own wounds and even without grieving that, I'm just going to repeat the cycle. And I will be taking all these photos and putting them on social media, and then I just want to show him. It's part of that war. It's part of the acrimony. I just want him to be jealous, I want him or her to feel bad. All that is part of the grieving process. I do not fault anybody for doing that. I totally understand. But now that you know where it's coming from, I would recommend take some time. You cannot, that is a distraction you're distracting yourself with. And for you to get in, to introspect and find out, what was my role? How can I heal? Accept that your heart, extend grace to yourself, love yourself, and now heal. You need that time. not rushing into another relationship. Then again, there's the extreme opposite. There are people who, once you're hurt, you're like, it will never happen to me again. Never. I'm never getting to. I'll never find myself in a vulnerable situation. And so you become avoidant. Yeah. But in this space of being in solitude, you're not doing anything to work on yourself because you are under the impression that time heals. So the longer I take alone, the better I'm healing.
Yes.
But it's not true. It's just like a broken bone. You've broken your hand somewhere. If you leave it that way, it will never heal. You need to go to hospital, see a medical practitioner. They reset the bone, align it, and then they put the cast. Then you can heal after some time. Same thing with matters of the heart. You need to put in the work. So even as you wait for this period of time and you're saying, I'm healing, what are you doing? Are you doing something about it? Yeah? Are you introspecting? Are you seeking counseling? Are you seeking therapy? Are you journaling? Are you practicing? Are you reading books? Are you applying what you're reading? You need to do something about it. But this thing of, I'm glowing up, it's not you. You can't change overnight just like that. You need to take time, and then when you heal, that glowing up comes from within. It's not a show. It's not for Instagram. It is not for social media. It is not to prove a point to your ex or to show people you are okay. It is genuine and it is authentic. And when it's genuine and it's authentic, it's the real deal. But when you see people doing what you said, just extend grace. It's part of the healing process.
It's part of the healing process.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But let's go back now to the divorce part. Man, there's something that tells me, Lynn, you should start winding up. But why do I feel like we've just gone for 15 minutes? I don't want to wind up yet. So, guys, let me ask a few questions. What do you think someone who, I know we've tackled the conscious part, but what are other 3 key things you wish someone knew before even asking for a divorce?
3
or
key
going
things.
through things, through the divorce? Yeah.
Okay. The major one, the main one, and the biggest one is that there's another way of going through it, which is what we have discussed today. Once you know that, go in with intentionality, go in with deliberateness, and go in with a plan. Think about the future, think ahead, think about your children, think about your healing and the dynamics that are changing between you and this person. When you think about that, you've already prepared yourself mentally, or rather you're preparing yourself mentally. The second thing I would like to say is that living is hard and staying is hard. You just have to choose your hard. And if you choose to live out here, there is stigma. It has reduced drastically right now. It's not the way it used to be before. The fact that we can actually sit down in a show and talk about divorce, that's a huge milestone. And that's why I think now people are ready for this conversation. So when you go out there, prepare yourself for that stigma. And the best way to prepare yourself is remember that this life is yours. Yeah? When you wear a shoe and the shoe is pinching, you're the only one who knows how it's pinching and where it's pinching. So do not make these decisions based on what will people say. It is okay to fear the unknown. It is just normal, it's natural. And you can think about this in terms of, I'm afraid I accept, but I will still act while afraid. But don't think in terms of, what will people say? They will gossip. Yes, they will. It's fine. But you cannot be a 40-year-old making life decisions based on what will people say.
There you go.
The third thing I could say is that this person you're living does not have to be an enemy. If you find yourself being cordial and civil, that's a plus. But if you don't find yourself being cordial and civil, they do not have to be enemies. Whatever they feel about you, that's theirs. What you feel about them, you can control. Remember that anger, that guilt, that bitterness, it eats you up. It does not eat the other person up. It's an inside job for you. So for your own sake, resolve these issues within you. Seek professional help. Seek support. You can get support in working out. You can get support in starting afresh. You can get support in, finding yourself again, because again you lose your identity.
You do.
If you know yourself as Mrs. So-and-so or Mama so-and-so.
But then how do you deal with that? How do you deal with, I was Mrs. Now I own sana. I was Mrs. Ojuang, and now I'm just Lynn. How do you deal with that, man?
Whoa, okay. That is part of the grieving and healing process. When you leave a marriage, especially the marriages that lasted long, you lose your identity. You also lose purpose. And purpose can be individual or joint purpose. So you're like a lost entity. Yeah. And then when you go out there, you do not know where to start. You may have the finances, you may have everything, but identity is something very, very important to the well-being of an individual. You need to have a purpose in life. Otherwise, it's easy to slip into depression. Yeah. You need to find this person who was there before you got married. We cannot talk to the people who are already in divorce and tell them don't lose yourself because your makosa ishafanyika. It happens naturally that you incorporate other people in your life and you put yourself in the back bench. Especially for women, it happens a lot. When you come out of there, part of the healing process should be accept that this has happened. Forgive yourself for the role you played in allowing this to go on longer than it should have. And then seek to heal whatever it is that made you find yourself in that situation. Is it an inner child wound? Find out what it is. And as you're exploring that inner child, it will help you remember who that was. Yeah. And when you remember who that was, you will know what you lacked and give it to yourself. That is part of self-love. Self-love is not just about saying, I love myself, and buying yourself 20 pairs of shoes. It's not that. It's in how you treat yourself, your inner voice, because we always have an inner voice. Yeah. And our inner voice most of the time is usually the voice of our caregiver in childhood or our parents, And if it was harsh and critical, come to the realization that you need to change that. Talk to yourself with kindness. Make decisions that favor you. You're used to putting everyone else first, setting yourself on fire to keep people warm. Stop that. That's part of self-discovery. Create your new identity. Because again, you're a new person. Yeah? You've been reborn. Be reborn a better version of yourself. Yes. That's how now you rediscover yourself. The things you had neglected because of your marriage, revisit them. See if you still like them. If you like them, pick them up again. If you don't, find something else.
And it's okay to go pick something up again after 20 years. It's okay.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with forgiveness now during or after divorce? I mean, this is someone you wanted to spend your whole life with, and they've just said, I don't think we can do this anymore, especially when it's not like me and Christine, we've decided this is not working. If it's one-sided and you decide, I don't want to be here, I want to leave, and the other person was really vouching or counting on you guys being together forever and ever, How do you deal with that forgiveness, that pain?
I like that topic of forgiveness because it's a delicate one. Again, unlearn. We need to unlearn the idea we have of forgiveness. The idea we have of forgiveness most of us, it comes from our religious background. And that kind of forgiveness does not resolve the issue. What it does basically is overlook. We are told to overlook the evil things, the bad things that they do to you, forgive.
Yes.
If you're slapped this side, turn the other side, they slap you. So we need to unlearn that idea of forgiveness and look at it this way. This person you want to forgive, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. And they may not even ask for that forgiveness. So learn how to accept apologies that were never given for your own sake. Then also remember that it's not about overlooking and sweeping things under the carpet. It is about coming to a resolution within yourself. You don't even need to tell them. It's a resolution within yourself. You resolve in the sense of you say, you acknowledge, yes, they did this to me, and I was hurt, and I am in pain, and it is not okay, but I'm going to move on from this, and I'm going to move on in this way. If you don't know how to do that, get support. You can get support, because some of these things are so heavy and they are so painful, and they keep people stuck in one place. You will find someone who is 10 years, 20 years post-divorce, but they've never forgiven.
Yes.
And when they don't forgive, it eats them up from the inside. Someone deteriorates in health very drastically. You wonder, if the marriage was the problem and now you're out, why are you not thriving? It's because they're still carrying all those burdens with them. Every night they go to bed, they remember. And sometimes it's not even, you don't remember with your mind, your body. Your body remembers, and your body keeps score. If you used to have violence every night, your spouse would come and wake you up with a bucket of cold water pouring on you in bed. Now you're alone in your own nice apartment, but you can't sleep. Why? Your body remembers. At around 12 midnight, a bucket of cold water is going to pour on me, you know?
Yes.
And so you wake up and you panic and you start going into anxiety and all that. But if you get professional help, you can be able to resolve these issues, release them, let them go, and then forgive this person and pick up your life from where you are. Stop living in the past.
Great. I love that. But Aki, I love the way you talk. I just gotta say that. Like, I'm just admiring how eloquent she is, right? They do say, before we wind up, women mentally check out of a relationship before they even ask for that divorce. Is it true? By the time a woman is ending things, they already ended it a long time ago.
Yes, it's true most of the time. Why it's true is that, you know, women, we relate different than men. Men, I can't speak for them because I don't know. But for women, we love community. We are emotional beings. We like to talk, we like to express ourselves, and we like to see, you know, that the other person is in it with us. So when things are not going well, the woman will usually bring it up, try and talk things out. But if the man does not hear, then it reaches a point she gets tired and she keeps quiet. That is just giving up or trying to minimize your pain, or, you know, because it's a trigger, keeping on repeating the same thing, and your person is not listening to you. So to you, you take it, as a woman, you take it as, I am tired. I have said this 100 times. I am not being heard, so let me just keep quiet and preserve my energy. But what that does, it creates resentment, because the person is still going to keep on doing what it is that they're doing that is triggering you. And each time he does that, it triggers you. It takes away a little more of the love that you have for him. You love him a little less every time he does that. And you're thinking that this person should be able to see that I have withdrawn, but they can't. What they see is, whatever I'm doing is not that bad. See, she's still here. Yeah. So I've not reached that breaking point threshold. I can still continue. We are thinking differently. So when the woman stops nagging, they call it nagging sometimes, stops reminding that I don't like this and I don't like that, then emotionally, she's not there anymore. And when she detaches emotionally, that's it. That is it. The moment your woman does not feel safe emotionally, there is no violence, you're providing everything, you're doing everything, but she doesn't feel emotionally safe, you have lost her. Because then she's able to release you. That when she leaves physically, it will not be as hard. The heartbreak will not really be, there will be grief and pain, but it will be not that bad. That's when you find a woman is in the house, she's mechanical. If it's about doing her wifely duties, she will do them, but not with love.
She's done already.
Yes,
She's
and that
gone.
and that's what happens. It's sometimes you don't even plan that this is how I'm going to exit. You just find yourself, I no longer care. You have emotionally detached and you have exited that marriage mentally, and then now it's just that one thing that you're waiting for that will trigger you to actually physically move out.
And you exit. Right, but let's talk about these beautiful books that we have here. Maybe we start with Conscious Uncoupling. This is a personal journey by Christine Muthoni. That's you. What is the inspiration behind this book? Is it what we've spoken about?
Yes, that is the inspiration behind the book. And I wrote this when I was going through my own uncoupling journey. I did go through uncoupling in 2019. And I was at the verge of writing the second book.
Yes, this one here.
This one.
Disclosing Secrets.
Yes.
Okay.
We shall come to that one shortly.
Yeah.
So I was writing the manuscript for Disclosing Secrets, and then I found myself in that situation of uncoupling. And I told my mentor I cannot continue with this authorship class because of the personal challenges I'm going through. And he told me, let's sit down and talk about it. And we spoke about it. And he gave me that idea. Writing is already in your blood. It is already your hobby. You can use this as a method of healing, putting everything down in paper. So I was doing it as in form of journal entries, you know, going through the motions. That was 2019. And then 2020, we had COVID. And so there was the lockdown. That's how I would spend my time. Just writing down things, helping me to heal. And then also the support that I got, I would put it down there. What I wished that I had, I was giving it to the person who will be reading this book. How I was dealing with stigma, losing friends and all that, I was putting it down.
You lost friends?
Yes, I did.
That's something also happen when people are going through divorce. You lose friends.
Yes. When we talk about stigma, there's 3 kinds of stigma. Self-stigmatization, it is you beating yourself up about being a failure.
I failed.
Yes. We need to unlearn that the end of the marriage is a failure. It is not. Another kind of stigmatization is your friends, your family. They are also going to stigmatize you. I don't know why, but back in the day, people would imagine you hang out with a divorcee, you're also going to get divorced. It's like it's contagious. So you find yourself losing friends.
Yes.
Family sometimes, like that story we talked about of you going back home to your mom, may not want you to go back. And so she may also stigmatize you without knowing. And thirdly is with society and our religious cycle, our religious circles. That is church. You find some churches do not welcome divorcees. If you had some roles in church, they are withdrawn from you. You cannot do what you used to do as a married person. Yeah. So you will, and those friends of yours are also part of your family. They are part of your church. They disappear from you. You find yourself alone. So that is part of the things I have covered in the book. Those are part of the challenges that I coach people through when they are going through uncoupling. And so when I finished with the manuscript, I published it and it became my signature topic. It's what I love talking about. And the book has really helped so many people out there that I feel like I'm doing what I love every single day through the book and through the talking.
And it's beautiful. I stayed away from your personal story.
Yes.
Because I did that intentionally because I didn't want this to be about you going back to something you might not want to go back to. But thank you for sharing that. But
maybe,
I hope
maybe I can even add something.
Feel free.
I'm grateful that you stayed away from that story because there comes a time when you need to stop identifying as a divorcee. You need to stop carrying your pain as a badge of honor, you know? And that's part of rediscovering your identity. When you come out of a divorce, don't call yourself a marriage dropout, a divorcee, a failure, unless you're calling yourself lightheartedly.
Yes.
Rediscover who you are and have your new identity. So even as I introduce myself, I'll always introduce myself as a mom.
Honestly, when you didn't introduce yourself as a divorcee, I stayed out completely. Yes.
It is just an experience that I went through. Take it as an experience that you go through. And then after that, you have other experiences.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy to hear. I think that's now the book we need also.
Yeah.
We need a book of how to, you know, your identity after divorce. shouldn't be full of pain and full of, you know, I failed. You are still a very beautiful, incredible human being who is also an amazing conversationist. So that's really good. Do you want to add anything on conscious uncoupling?
I think for conscious uncoupling, I could talk forever. Maybe we can call it a day,
part
with
one.
What we have talked about.
Because we want to hear your thoughts and feedback too, so that next time, I wanted to say, I don't think this is the last time we'll see Christine on the show. So I would want to also incorporate what you guys have in mind on our next conversation. But for me, the reason why I was loving it, even as you were speaking, it's because I knew some of the things you were saying are from experience. And I feel like it's easier now for people to come to you because, again, when you know better, you do better. And I feel like you understand people more than a stranger would. You've dealt with it, you know where you went wrong, you know where you went right, and now you know the best way to go about it, which is really beautiful even for our audience. So I appreciate you for that. But our producer Edwin has a question, so I'm just gonna rephrase it for the purpose of audio. He's asking for the couples who maybe waliachana and you guys had shared interests, and some of those shared interests would be common friends, common joints, common things we used to do together. What now happens in instances where maybe tuliachana and I don't want to see you, and for example he said Muga is our mutual friend and Muga invites us for a bash and I really don't want to see you there. So how do I go about that? That's it. How do I go about that?
That's a good question, and it's very common because it happens a lot. And the reason why it happens a lot is because most people break up, they don't consciously uncouple. And friendships are part of what they lose after breaking up. And what I am trying to say is that if you consciously uncouple, you have the same narrative to people out there. But if you don't consciously uncouple, you have a different story, they have a different story. And everyone is always going to be trying to look like the victim. And so my friends are going to side with me, and your friends are going to side with the other person. Be ready for this. These are some of the things you need to prepare yourself psychologically for. You are going to lose friends. If you cannot be in the same room with your ex, don't be. Don't be. You may be willing, because you have this awareness and consciousness, that you can actually maintain everything else that you had, minus the marital status. You can still have your friends and not put your friends in such a weird situation where they have to choose between the two of you. You can have all that. But if the other person does not have that awareness, trust you me, they will be spreading stories about how you mistreated them, how you were bad. Some of those friends will not even come to hear your side of the story. And you'll just find yourself isolated. You will walk into one of the establishments you used to go to, find your ex, and just walk out for the sake of peace. But one thing I want to say is, there are those friends who will take sides and abandon you or take your side. But then there are others who will just come to hear your side of the story, perhaps to give you support or perhaps to have tea. You know what I mean by tea.
Immortal.
And you don't know what they have been told on the other side. Sometimes they don't even need to be told anything. People create their own stories. They project. People project. And they've already created this idea of you in their mind. So what I say is, you don't have to go into details of telling everybody what happened. It's not a must. You can just tell people, our marriage did not work. That's it.
And that's it.
Or we fell out.
And leave it at that.
Or it ran its purpose and you leave it at that. They may try to push you for the juicy details, but those juicy details are just juicy to them. To you, you're opening wounds that you're trying to close. It's painful. Don't put yourself in the line of fire. Why would you want to put yourself in the line of... You don't owe anybody any explanation. Whatever happened, happened between you and your partner. So the people who really matter to you will not need your explanations. They will be there for you. Those who insist on hearing your juicy details to go and hear from the other person, to go and tell others, perhaps you don't need them. You're rediscovering yourself. You're going to lose friends because you don't have this marriage institution in common, but you will get others. You will make other friends who are also married but do not mind having single friends, who are also single, have never been married. The world is your oyster. Like, there's so much abundance out there. Don't limit yourself to one niche at you only hang out with married people. No.
Good.
When you go out there, that rediscovering yourself, it's you to define your identity. Who do you want to be after this? So you have a clean slate. So don't worry about going to those establishments. If you're not wanted there, you can go elsewhere.
Go where you're celebrated.
Yes.
Yes. We are good, Edwin. Beautiful. Disclosing Secrets, Healing the Body, Mind and Spirit is your other book. Briefly walk me through this one.
Yeah, this is my newest baby. I launched it in February this year. Though I wrote it like 9 years ago, it was supposed to be the first book.
Yeah.
And this book is about healing the body, mind and spirit, because there's a connection between your thoughts and your body. Most of the times, what you see manifesting in your body is just your body talking to you, telling you there is something you're suppressing in there. It's not usually about medication. It's not usually about the creams you're applying. It's about what's going on in your mind. And as women, we are unique and we have our own unique challenges. So some things happen to you and you store them inside you and they manifest in form of fibroids, cysts, reproductive health challenges, and you're there going for surgery to remove them, whereas you could address the root cause. The root cause could be, what resentment am I harboring? What unforgiveness am I harboring? What anger am I harboring? And so this book comes from my own experience where I did go through reproductive health challenges of fibroids and cysts, and you're told that there's no cure. That you have to manage them for the rest of your life. But what I took it as, when a doctor, conventional doctor, tells you there's no cure, you have to manage it, it means now it's umefika mwisho wa conventional medicine. It's up to you now to take charge of your health, take charge of your well-being, go back, find the root cause and cure it. And so that is how I wrote that book. And even with fibroid diagnosis and cysts, I ended up having my 2 sons, and that's why I can never fail to talk about them. They're the inspiration behind everything good that I am and everything good that I do.
I love that. You see how she's going to come back on the show to teach us how to walk through that. Yes, but I love it. Where can people get these books? And I hope they are available in our favorite bookstore, Nuria.
Yes, they are.
10. Yes.
Yes. They're available at Nuria Bookshop. You can go there yourself or order online. They're getting delivered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feel free to also tell us where else in other bookstores, or it's just
no,
Nuria?
I've only done Nuria.
Nuria? Okay, sawa. Christine, thank you so much. I don't want to let you go, but I'm letting you go in faith and in the hope that we will have you again on this platform for other beautiful conversations. But for this specific one, is there anything in particular you feel, Lynn, I can't leave this show without addressing? Feel free to address it as you also tell our people where they can be able to find you.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, I think when you do what you love, everything just unfolds organically. And one thing is connected to the other. So about disclosing secrets and how our thoughts affect our body and our minds and even the words you say, it ties very well with conscious uncoupling, whereby you find people who are in unhappy marriages going through these motions, keeping everything within for the sake of persevering, end up having the same issues. Lifestyle diseases, you high blood pressure, you're getting, a heart attack in the middle of nowhere, you're just young, you're still in your 30s. I consider people in their 30s very young.
Look at us.
Yes. Look at us. Some of us are in our 40s.
You are in your 40s?
Yes.
Damn it. Now, such a say, but did about people in their 40s?
Yeah.
Okay, people in their 50s show up also.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these are things you've accumulated in your life. Suppressing them. And then they start showing up later on. If you read Disclosing Secrets, then you know the connection between your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your body. And so don't stay in those marriages dying quietly. Don't stay in those unions dying quietly. Don't feel like a failure. And learn that bit of feeling like a failure express yourself, especially men who say we don't have forums where we can go and talk about the things we go through. The forums are there. It is the mindset that you have that as a man, if I talk, I'm weak. Nobody can make you believe something that you don't want to believe. Your beliefs are within your control. Go and seek that support. Don't suppress these things. It's not just women who have these things showing up physically, even men. So go out there, get the support you need, and make decisions that reflect your love for yourself. So where I can be found? Yes. All right. I think I'll start with, I am in Upper Hill, Bishop Garden Towers, second floor. My firm is Modoni Minor and Associate Advocates. I practice within the same premises, the coaching and the legal practice. And I also do online virtual coaching. Beautiful. For those who are in diaspora or who are not able to come to the office physically. And yes, on email, we shall also put my email there, my website and my number.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been such a very beautiful conversation to have today. Personally, I have learned so many things.
Thank you.
And I love that you keep encouraging us to unlearn and unpack some of the things that have been taught unto us. And as I said, I can't wait to hear our people on the comment section, your feedback, so that even when she comes back next time, we can be able again to incorporate some of the things that you will also ask on the comment section on our next episode. But allow me to let you go for now. I also know you have your own plans for the day, but maybe a parting shot to our audience looking at that camera as you tell them kwaheri.
Okay. Yeah. As a parting shot, we are going in the right direction, being able to have these conversations. And I want the listeners to know that there is support out there and we are moving away from the stigma. It is okay to accept when things are not working and pick a different path and start afresh. There is life out there and there is life in abundance and it is so beautiful. It's not the end of life. Express yourself, make better decisions for yourself, and don't create enemies just because a relationship has ended. Don't neglect your children just because you're not in good terms with the other parent. And I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation over the next couple of even years.
Even years.
Yes.
Even years.
Yeah.
Shukran sana.
Thank you.
Guys, do I even need to add anything for this outro? I don't think so. I really hope you've been inspired. Again, we've done what we came here to do. This conversation has served the purpose it was meant to serve, and I believe you've learned, and you are still relearning. Thank you for tuning in. As I said, always interested in your comment section and feedback. Guys, you know everything for me relies on your take home from today's conversation. You might not be a commenter, but please just comment and let me know what your take home has been. It helps curate conversations for you. We also always want to be better as LNN, so that feedback really helps us in knowing what other topic can we bring for you on this platform. Special shout out to my team for putting this together. I think to Melan Seawater. It's been a nice day of filming and having Christine in studio, so we really do appreciate that we were also able to do this with you watching back at home or wherever you are watching. A reminder, I know majority of you are still watching this show without subscribing. Guys, munani heartbreak. There is no way I can consciously uncouple from your ability to not subscribe and you know you've watched this. Don't break my heart. Subscribe if you are watching this. It goes a long way. That is the only gift, guys, you can be able to give me and our team. Subscribe. It's free and it goes a long way into making sure our work gets to reach a wide range of audience. Special shout out to our partners at Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. We appreciate you. If investing in a piece of land is what you want to do right now, check out their property. You know where: Matu, Makutano, Masinga, and Malindi. And I also have something playing at the end of this episode, so do check it out. And also, if you want to share your story with me, info@lnn.digital. That's where you can be able to find behind us. Leave us a brief of your story there, and maybe Edwin, our super producer, will be getting a hold of you, and we could be having you here on our next episode of LNS Learning and Relearning series. I think my job here is done. Support us by subscribing. Kama pia unataka M-Pesa, kuna namba hapo na pay bill, cheza kama wewe. And I appreciate the people who have really supported us. That is not something I take for granted. Catch you tomorrow at 10 a.m. and make better decisions, even political wise. Sawa, my people. Bye-bye.
Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited, the leading real estate company in title deed issuance, welcomes you to Malindi Precious Gardens Phase 3, just 30 minutes from Marareni, and 50 by 100 plots are going for 199,000 shillings, and 100 by 100 plots are 350,000 shillings, and it's perfect for building cottages. We also have Matu Baraka Gardens Phase 3, just 5 minutes from Matu Town, touching Kivandini Masinga Bypass, offering 50 by 100 plots for 399,000 shillings. All plots are close to social amenities with 98% neighborhood development, and prices are inclusive of title deed. Book your site visit now by calling 0726 004455 or 0718 004455. Golden Dreams Land and Properties Limited. Title deed is our DNA.